Hello, everyone. It's Luis Concepcion from Strategic Profit Line Trading coming to you with the plan of the week for week number 16. As always, here's our disclosures. This is for educational purposes only, providing no investment advice. This is not tailored to any one individual, and everybody must understand their investment horizon. Past performance does not guarantee future results or success, and all investments and trades involve risks, including the loss of your original principal. So our agenda for the week, we'll cover the news, provide a quick market overview on the indices, and we may have less companies reporting earnings this week, but we have some good companies earnings this week. So that's going to be interesting, and it's going to provide for a pretty busy week. So I have a lot of ideas and trades for you this week. So here's last week's results. Provided 14 zones, pretty quiet week. We went 1-0 on both stocks and options. No entry on 8 zones, and then we had 3 zones closed on Friday in the zone, and that was the Diamonds DIA, RPM, and Fast. Here's an outlook on the earnings. We started pretty much on Friday on a lot of banks reporting, and we're going to finish with the banks this week. So again, should be interesting. And I got about 20, 25 zones for you this week to see if you can take action. Went ahead and I updated our zones. Like I said, we only for week 15, we only have Delta Airlines, and that brought us to 24 and 16 on the year with our stocks. And I added Delta Airlines in our options and we are now 54 and 10. Moving into our news for the week, as you can see on Monday, it's not we have our retail sales report, so that's 30 minutes before the market open. So we have 3 reports and our manufacturing index and retail. So be cognizant of that. It might cause some volatility at the open. Moving on to Tuesday, we got CPI for the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar will be affected pre-market. Nothing affecting the U.S. markets on Tuesday. For those of you trading the British pound and Canadian dollar, you can see midday, we got Governor Bailey speaking and Governor Macklem speaking. So be cognizant of that. That will affect the Canadian and British dollar. US dollar, we got Fed chart, Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday. So be cognizant of that midday. Moving on to Wednesday, nothing affecting the US markets. However, we got the British pound and Australian dollar being affected for those of you trading futures and Forex. Moving on to Thursday, we got unemployment claims in the morning. And then on Friday should be a quiet day with no news. However, we do have some key companies reporting earnings. Moving into our charts, starting with the SPX, you can see that we had a nice drawdown this past week. On Friday, we fell, and since the beginning of March, we've so far had a 3% drawdown and coming into some key areas. Again, for those of you who've been patiently waiting, we're coming back to this area, and the first demand zone I have for you is 50.91 to 50.54 on the demand side. This is a lower time frame. However, the supply sign I have for you is 52.41 to 52.56. Moving on to the NASDAQ. Again, staying a little bit more steadier than the S&P 500. However, we've pretty much consolidated. We've been consolidating, and now we're moving sideways. And we still have no supply definitive in the NASDAQ. However, the first demand zone I have for you is 17,495 to 17,359. Moving on to the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is what has shown the most weakness. And for those of you who've been patient, we finally reached our zone and closed in that zone on Friday. So maybe the Dow will give us a bounce back up to the all-time highs, or maybe this is the beginning of something that's going to continue to move lower. However, that zone is 380 to 377. Moving on to earnings for the week. First company I got for you is Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs on the supply side, I have 413.05 to 426.79, and the first demand zone I have for you is 353 to 348. If the banks continue to decline, just like JP Morgan did, all the banks did on Friday, maybe Goldman Sachs will hit our zones and continue to move lower. Next company I have for you is Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab just bought out Thinkorswim, the platform we're currently using. So let's see. if they continue moving on onward and upward. So the first supply zone I have for you is 74.65 to 78.86 on the supply side, and the first demand zone 57.11 to 53.54. Moving on to M&T Bank, 127.11 to 123.31 on the demand side, and on the supply side 149.21 to 158.63. Moving on to Tuesday now, Bank of America. So for Bank of America on the demand side, I got 29.97 to 29.19, and on the supply side 42.97 to 44.59. Next company I got for you is Johnson and Johnson. So for Johnson and Johnson on the demand side, I got 143.04 to 137.44, and on the supply side 172.34 to 175.96. Next company I have for you is Morgan Stanley. So for Morgan Stanley, as you can see, the banks have been weak. This is the supply zone that's been holding, and that's 94.52 to 99.24. And on the demand side, 81.39 to 79.29. In the event of overshoot, you have 76.77 and 73.88. Next company I have for you is PNC Bank. On the supply side, I have 173.81 to 183.07. And on the demand side, you got 142.92 to 138.55. Be cognizant that this level has already worked. So in the event of overshoot, the next demand zone I have for you is 130.82 to 126.90. Next company reporting earnings on Tuesday, United Airlines. So this is the level that held for us last week. And that level is 48.70 to 50.68 on the supply side. And on the demand side, I got 33.95 to 31.59. Next company is Interactive Brokers. So no supply on Interactive Brokers, and the demand side I have for you is 96.01 to 92.56. Next company I have for you is OMC, Omnicorp. Supply side, 97.46 to 99.18, and on the demand side, 80.08 to 78.28. Moving on to Wednesday, starting with Abbott. So on the supply side, 127.52 to 131.03, and on the demand side, 97.10 to 91.26. Next company's PLD. As you can see, it's closing to this zone on Friday. I'm not sure if this is going to hold this week. However, if it does on a pop-up this week, we got 119.82 to 117.52. And in the event of an overshoot, we got 112.28 to 108.67. And on the supply side, 162.38 to 174.71. Next company I have for you is US Bank. And US Bank on the demand side, 37.77 to 36.48. And on the supply side, 45.28 to 48.30. Next company I got for you is CFG on the demand side, 29.78 to 28.04. And if we have an overshoot, the next level I have for you is pretty close by at 27.40 to 26.09, with supply at 40.20 to 41.36. Next company I got for you is Discover. So Discover was just recently bought out, and the demand zone I got for you is 95.99 to 93.87. No supply on Discover. Moving on to Thursday, the Blackstone Group. On the supply side, 142.99 to 150.64, and on the demand side, 107.27 to 102.49. Next company I have for you is Alley. So for Alley on the supply side, 41.68 to 43.29, and on the demand side, 27.86 to 26.52. Still on Thursday, Netflix reporting after market. So on the supply side, 652.29 is 680.69, and on the demand side, 558.96 to 547. In the event of an overshoot and this level does not hold, Netflix can get down to 488.90 to 462.02. Next company is ISRG. No supply in ISRG. The first demand zone I got for you is 317.95 to 303.52. Next company is PPG. On the supply side, 151.80 to 159.26. And on the demand side, 129.77 to 126.27. And the last company I have for you this week, moving on to Friday, it's going to be American Express. No supply on American Express. The first demand zone I got for you is 204.07 to 199. And in the event of an overshoot, 188.31 to 184.22. And that's going to do it for us with the charts this week. Again, we have a lot of companies reporting, a lot of news going on, a lot of economic events. So be cognizant of everything that's happening when it comes to the execution of your trades. So as always, here's my contact information. Feel free to check out the website to see what classes I got coming on. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email me. For those of you who are not following me yet, go ahead and follow me on social media as I post trades throughout the week. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Till next time, happy trading. See you next week.